Hello, and thank you for joining me for another session dealing with your business. And today we're going to talk about PPP, but particularly about PPP, we're going to be dealing with PPP loan forgiveness. PPP, not to make any assumptions that everyone is familiar with the term is Paycheck Protection Program. Now, as we have talked about before, one of the great things about the Paycheck Protection Program is that it starts off as a loan. It is technically a loan, but if you follow certain of the guidelines and certain protocols and you follow those procedures, you can actually turn that loan into something that is forgiven, which is essentially like a grant. So they basically give you the money that they had loaned you to take care of your paycheck. Now, there are a lot of rules around it, but today, all I'm focusing on today is about what is involved in getting a PPP loan forgiven. Okay, so there are two phases to PPP loans. There's what we call the first draw, and then there's what we call the second draw. And the difference is that just really the second draw is set up to where you cannot access the second draw unless you've taken care of the first draw in its entirety. Now, what does that mean? You applied for the loan, you were approved for the loan, the funds were distributed, the funds were used or handled in one of three ways. You either gave back the money, you paid back the money, or the funds were forgiven based off of your application and how you use those funds. So in order to get a second loan or second draw, you have got to completely satisfy the first draw. So let's talk about the first draw. First draw PPP loans are made to eligible borrowers who qualify for, the full loan forgiveness. If during the 8 to 24 week period of time, which you get to pick, if during the 8 to 24 week covered period of time following the disbursement, the employees and their compensation levels are maintained, that's number one. The loan proceeds are spent on payroll costs and other eligible expenses, that's number two. And at least 60% of the proceeds are spent on payroll costs, that's number three. Under those three conditions, if those three conditions are met, your application for Paycheck Protection Program loan forgiveness would be accepted or could be accepted. Okay, so let's just talk about, how do you go about getting forgiveness? Well, in order to get the paycheck loan itself, you would have to apply through a lending institution. It could be a bank, it could be a credit union, it could be a internet bank. It could be a micro lender. It could be, but the lending institution must be one that is on the pre-approved lenders/vendors list coming from the Small Business Administration. So if your bank does not have that designation and is not on that list, then they would more than likely not be able to apply or process your loan for PPP. And only those who process your loan for PPP can process your loan for PPP forgiveness. So let me restate that. If you were successful at getting a PPP loan, you must go back to the same institution to get the loan forgiven. Okay, so in order to apply for the loan, number one, contact your lender, and there are several options in terms of forms. Your lender will provide you the appropriate form, and it could be either a form 3508, 3508EZ, 3508S, or something that the lender themselves have created, depending to operate within their own context. Okay. Just to let you know that they do have the shortened or abbreviated versions, which is the 3508EZ or the 3508S. The second step in this process, pull all of your documentation, pull all of your information together, become highly organized, pay all the attention to all of the details, pull together information concerning your payroll, and be able to provide documentation for all of the various payroll periods that overlap with the coverage period for your loan. Next, you want to pull together your bank accounts or any third-party payroll service reports. So if you have somebody else processing your payroll, you want to collect all of that information, all of the reports, all of the data. Next, you want to also pull together any tax form or equivalent third-party payroll provided for the periods that overlap the covered period, right? Finally, you want to pull together any payroll tax filings that's been reported. So if you file something with the state of Texas or with the IRS, typically it's going to be a Form 941. Or if your quarterly business for the state of Texas or individual employee wages have been reported for unemployment insurance filing purposes, you want to pull all that together. And then under payroll, you want to pull together payment receipts, cancel checks, account statements documenting the amount and employer contributions to employee health insurance and retirement plans that the borrower included in the forgiveness amount. All of those are acceptable pieces, are acceptable components of the Paycheck Protection Program. So in order to get credit for them, you'll just need to provide proof that those were, in fact, your costs, your charges, right? Now, for non-payroll issues, right, which there are some expenses that are non-payroll related that you'll need to pull that information together. Pull together information about your business mortgage and the interest payments on that. Pull together a copy of the lender or amortization schedule and the receipts verifying the amounts. Pull together your rent, your lease payments, copy of your current lease agreements, or any other receipts that you may have that supports your documentation or your claim. Also, pull together your utility payments. Make sure you have hard copies or electronic copies, but make sure you have copies of your invoices, of your receipts, canceled checks, as well as your account statements. Next, item number 3, you'll want to submit all of that information through your lender. You have to submit it to your lender, but they will submit it through their own systems. So complete the loan forgiveness application, submit it to your lender with the required reporting documents and supporting documents, and then follow up with your lender to submit additional documentation as requested. It is your lender's responsibility to get back to you to say, we're missing this form or we're missing this piece of information. In order to ensure that this is handled in an expeditious manner, please respond immediately to the request for additional information. If you do not respond, or if you do not respond timely, you could be subject to not getting the forgiveness, or they're running out of money before you could be forgiven. So don't put yourself in that situation. Respond timely. The next item is you want to continue to communicate with your lender, right? You want to make sure that the lender, you're continuously asking the lender, do you have everything you need? Is there anything else you need from me? Other notes that I like to add in there is notes such as, have you received a loan number? Has my application been uploaded into the SBA portal? Do you have any other information or statuses from my particular loan? Are the loans throughout your bank being processed timely? Or has the SBA, slowed down the processing of applications coming from your facility? Always try and stay ahead of all of the information so that your application, so you're aware of where your application is at in your process, and that your application don't get held up for minor things like a lack of a form, a lack of clarity about some of the information you provided. My name is Rodney Johnson. It's been my pleasure to try to bring you just a little bit of tidbit. And the reason that this little bit of tidbit is important is that you can't get PPP number 2 until you've gotten PPP number 1. You can't And PPP number 1 is a loan, but it can be turned into a forgiven loan, also known as a grant. If you need help with any portions of this, by all means, please reach out to our center. You can contact us. Our phone number is area code 817-515-2600. That's 817-515-2600. Or you feel free to reach us via the website at Tarrant SBDC.org. Tarrant SBDC.org. It has truly been a pleasure to work with you today. And we hope that if you have any questions, you'll reach out to us. Our office is here to serve and to support you. By all means, let us do so. Please have a wonderful day. Rodney Johnson, Director, Tarrant Small Business Development Center.